Andrew Grant opened the security app expecting to catch her making a mistake. 11 caregivers before her had failed. When he saw those 3 wheelchairs sitting empty in the middle of the living room, his stomach dropped. Then he saw them. His 3 paralyzed sons standing, taking steps, walking toward her outstretched arms. Andrew's phone slipped from his hand. His back hit the wall. The man who had accepted impossible as final watched it shatter on a screen. 2 years earlier, Sarah Grant died 45 minutes after delivering triplets. No warning, no goodbye, just a cold hospital room and 3 premature babies fighting for their lives. Andrew held her hand until it went cold, then walked out to meet his sons, Philip, Eric, Adam. The doctors delivered the second blow quickly. Cerebral palsy. All 3 boys, severe. Mr. Grant, we need to prepare you. Based on the brain imaging and muscle response tests, walking is highly unlikely. Possibly never. Andrew heard the words, but they didn't land. Not then. He was still burying his wife in his mind. Months passed. The boys didn't improve. They sat in custom wheelchairs, small bodies still, eyes distant. Andrew hired the best therapists money could buy, flew in specialists from Europe, purchased equipment that cost more than most people's homes. Nothing changed. Andrew, alone in his Connecticut mansion, started to accept what the doctors said. His sons would never walk. He buried that hope right next to Sarah. Then came the caregivers. 11 in 18 months. The first quit after 2 weeks. Said watching the boys was too sad. The second spent more time on her phone than with his sons. The third sold photos of the boys' medical equipment to a tabloid for $600. After that, something broke inside him. One caregiver stole medication. Another accessed his financial accounts and disappeared. Each one came with a smile and left with his trust bleeding out behind them. Andrew stopped seeing people. He saw risks. He installed cameras in every room, every hallway. Control became his only protection. So when Angela Bailey walked through his front door, 29 years old, light brown hair pulled back in a ponytail, quiet and composed, Andrew didn't see a person. He saw the 12th failure waiting to happen. No improvising, he told her, not looking up from her file. No bonding, no hope speeches. Follow the medical protocol exactly. Angela nodded. I understand. But she didn't understand. Or maybe she understood too well. Angela didn't follow his rules. She sang to those boys when no one was watching, moved their legs in patterns the therapists never taught, whispered words of encouragement like she believed they could hear her. And Andrew watched it all through his cameras. At first, he watched to catch her making mistakes. Then he watched because he couldn't look away, because something was happening, something small at first. Philip smiled during her songs. Eric's fingers twitched when she played music. Adam held his head up longer than he ever had before. Andrew told himself it meant nothing. He told himself hope was dangerous. But late at night, alone in his office, Andrew watched a woman fight for his sons with nothing but patience and belief. 3 weeks passed. Angela had abandoned the protocol entirely. Andrew found her on the floor with Philip. She had his small legs in her hands, moving them slowly, rhythmically, left, right, like he was walking. What are you doing? Andrew's voice came out harder than he intended. Angela didn't stop the movement. Motor pattern training. It helps build neural pathways. That's not in the protocol. No, sir, it's not. Andrew stepped into the room. I gave you specific instructions. Angela gently lowered Adam's legs and stood up. The medical plan has them sitting in wheelchairs all day with minimal stimulation. That's not treatment. That's maintenance. The doctors gave you a prognosis based on statistics. They looked at scans and charts and told you what usually happens. They didn't tell you what's possible. You think you know better than doctors who've studied this for decades? I think giving up on a child is the one thing guaranteed to fail. Silence fell. Andrew's hands shook. You're filling their heads with false hope, he said quietly. When this doesn't work, and it won't, they'll be devastated. Angela looked at him for a long moment. They're 2 years old, Mr. Grant. They don't know what false hope is. They only know what they feel. And right now, they feel someone believing in them. She paused. Maybe for the first time. The words landed like a slap. That night, Andrew couldn't sleep. A termination letter sat open on his laptop, cursor blinking. He should send it. Logic demanded it. Instead, he opened the security footage. The therapy room showed a soft glow. Angela was still there, sitting on the floor, surrounded by 3 wheelchairs arranged in a half circle. A small lamp cast warm shadows across her face. The boys should have been in their medical beds, but there they were, still with her. She wasn't doing exercises. She was just sitting with them, humming a melody, something old and gentle. Andrew turned up the volume. "You did so good today," she whispered, touching Philip's hand. "I'm so proud of you. Do you know that? I'm proud of you." Philip's fingers curled slightly. She moved to Eric, adjusting his blanket. "Sweet boy, you're so much stronger than anyone knows. I see it. Even if they don't, I see it." Then she turned to Adam. She lifted his tiny hand and pressed it against her cheek, eyes closed. "I see you," she whispered. "All of you. You're not broken, baby. You're just waiting. And I'll wait with you, as long as it takes." A tear slipped down her cheek. Andrew stared at the screen. This woman, this stranger, was sitting in his house at 11 p.m., crying over his sons, talking to them like they mattered. When was the last time he'd done that? He couldn't remember. Andrew closed the laptop. He deleted the termination letter. Thursday afternoon, the licensed physical therapist arrived. Dr. Patterson examined each child. Her hands paused on Philip. She did it again, then called Angela over. "Significant improvement in muscle tone," she said. "This is unusual. What specific exercises are you doing?" That night, Andrew didn't just watch current footage. He went back day by day, week by week. He watched Angela on the floor with Eric, moving his legs in walking patterns over and over. Patient, steady, never frustrated. He watched her hold Philip's hands, helping him bear weight on his feet for just seconds at a time, his small legs trembling, then holding, then trembling again. But each day, he held a little longer. Andrew opened a new browser and typed neuroplasticity in children with cerebral palsy. Articles flooded the screen. Medical journals, case studies, research papers. Early intervention in pediatric cerebral palsy cases has shown remarkable results. Repetitive motor pattern training can stimulate the brain to form new connections. The infant and toddler brain demonstrates extraordinary plasticity. Andrew read until his eyes burned. Everything Angela had said was there, in black and white, published in medical journals. And he'd never looked, not once in 2 years. He'd taken those first doctors at their word, accepted their verdict like a death sentence, stopped researching, stopped questioning, stopped hoping. Thursday afternoon, Andrew sat in his office reviewing reports. His phone buzzed. Motion alert. Living room. He opened the security app. 3 wheelchairs against the wall. Empty. Andrew's heart stopped. Then he saw them. Center of the living room. Philip, Eric, Adam, standing. His 3 sons, his paralyzed sons, were standing upright on their own 2 feet. Angela knelt in front of them, about 5 feet away, her arms stretched wide open. Tears streamed down her face. "Come on, babies," she whispered. "Come to me. You can do it. 1 step." Philip moved first. His small foot lifted from the ground, hovered, then landed again an inch forward. Andrew's hand flew to his mouth. Eric went next. His legs trembled violently, but he moved. 1 foot, then the other. 2 steps. Adam, the smallest, stood there shaking, arms out for balance. Adam's foot lifted. It came down. Another lift. Another step. 3 steps. Andrew's phone slipped from his fingers. His knees buckled. He slid down from his chair until he sat on the floor. On the screen, he could hear Angela's voice. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Look at you. Look at what you're doing. The boys reached her. She gathered all three into her arms. I knew it, she cried. I knew you could. Andrew sat on his office floor, unable to move. Tears poured down his face, his whole body shook. 2 years of doctors saying never. 2 years of accepting defeat. And there were his sons, standing, walking. Andrew didn't know how long he sat on that floor. When he finally found the strength to stand, he walked on unsteady feet to the living room. The door was open. Angela sat on the floor, all 3 boys in her lap. Exhausted from the effort, their small bodies limp against her chest. She looked up when she sensed him there. Their eyes met. Andrew expected to see triumph on her face, but that's not what he saw. He saw compassion. For him, his legs gave out again. He knelt in the doorway. How? His voice cracked. How did you know? Angela looked down at the boys, then back at him. I didn't know, Mr. Grant. I just believed. Something broke inside Andrew. The last wall. He crawled forward on his knees until he reached them. His hands shook as he touched Philip's face, then Eric's, then Adam's. For 2 years, he'd watched them through screens, loved them from a distance, kept his heart locked away because losing more would kill him. Andrew gathered all 3 boys into his arms, pressed his face against their small heads. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. He said it over and over, an apology for every day he'd spent hiding, every night he'd chosen fear over faith. Angela quietly moved back, but Andrew reached out and grabbed her hand. Stay, he said, please. She nodded. They sat there together on the living room floor, a broken father holding his sons, a faithful woman who'd refused to give up. Andrew looked at Angela through blurred vision. You gave them their legs. She shook her head slowly. No, Mr. Grant. They gave themselves their legs. I just reminded them they could try. Andrew closed his eyes. Sarah would have loved this woman. Sarah would have loved this moment. The afternoon light shifted through the windows. The house felt different now, not empty, alive. Andrew held his sons tighter and let himself feel something he'd forgotten existed. Not fragile hope, real hope. The kind that costs everything and gives back more. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. More therapy, more work, more challenges. But for the first time in 2 years, Andrew Grant wasn't afraid of tomorrow. Because he finally understood, miracles don't need permission. They just need someone brave enough to believe they're possible.